Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for gathering here today on a very, very short notice. I know we sent the announcement out and decided to have this only on the 11th hour on Wednesday, and we really appreciate your presence. So to start the session today officially, I would like to first acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Darug people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge the First Nations people as the traditional custodians of the country that we are in, whose cultures are among the oldest living cultures in human history, and respect their continuing culture and contribution they make personally to my life, to the life of the city we are in, the state, and the entire continent. So just few housekeeping rules before we start. The ladies' toilets are just outside the door to your left. The gents will have to go out again to the left. And there's a kitchen to your right if you need to wash hands or get some water. Other than that, there's water and tea, fruits and stuff here whenever you feel like to gather. Mahal will be taking photographs, so if anyone has an objection, please let her know, so she'll make sure that she doesn't capture any of that. And the photographs and the video will be published on the Walpola Rahula Institute social media channels and the website. So just a quick introduction to the gathering here today. We called it Truth Awakening, if you noticed, very broadly. It's guided by the principles of the Walpola Rahula Institute. I thought its vision says, and as you enter the Walpola Rahula Institute in Kotte, you'll see on the gate this phrase which I'll never forget. I thought that's a good premise for us to start here today. It says, within these premises, please let go as much as possible of weaves, and I would say human constructed, such as nationality, ethnicity, religion, caste, sexual identity, and other human constructed weaves, which are mostly decided at one's birth. So I thought it's a good segue to mix that together with the 60,000 odd history and the culture we have in this country, and to bring the yarning circle as our practice, and to sit together as a yarning circle. And Hamadro requested even to remove the white cloth, so we understand that we are all considered equal. There are no hierarchy, there are no power imbalances, we are all in a balanced power equation. And we are responsible, respectful and honest interactions are possible between us, building trusted relationships and encouraging sharing and learning. So it's not about coming to listen, it's about sharing and learning. So the structure for the day is like literally not having a structure, I would say. But the Truth Awakening as a word, when you saw, I thought it might be good to probably have the structure within the word itself, which is a word, translation of the word Satyodaya, and is introduced in the book that is available for you to buy if you are interested. It's in both Sinhala and English. And the key to this particular book is it helps us as lay people to promote free thinking. And the book says, I quote, "Free thinking is not an ability gained easily through habit. Proper direction and guidance is required to develop this skill. Though the physical body can be easily trained to perform a task, the same cannot be said about training the mind. Progressively, cultivating human understanding and judgment through reasoning is a challenging task." So during the first half of the session, I would like to warmly welcome our visiting Thero, Venerable Galkande Dhammananda Thero, to support us in this journey to unpack this massive burden, the Satyodaya or truth awakening, and to guide us through it not only in a spiritual manner but also in a pragmatic, practical manner through conducting a Metta session. And followed by that, as the second half, we'll have a reflection and dialogue session. So, where we will all get to participate and have a discussion about anything in the book, anything outside, all kinds of things that we want to discuss as a group. So for that purpose, I want to introduce a brief, very brief introduction, and I'm sure most of you already know Hamduro much more than me. And I just wanted to briefly introduce Hamduro. And when I introduce him, probably it's my personal bias, and I thought I need to do justice by introducing his teaching, Hamduro, who is Venerable Walpola Rahula Hamduro. So, Dhammananda Thero is a student of Venerable Walpola Rahula Thero, who I consider a Buddhist legend, as well all know a graduate from the University of Colombo, University of London, and the Sorbonne. He was a professor of history and religion at Northwestern University. He was the first Buddhist monk to enter university in Sri Lanka, and first one to be a professor in a prestigious university out of Sri Lanka. He was also once the Vice Chancellor of Vidyodaya and the Chancellor of Kalaniya University. Satyodaya was his first book, but he went on to write many definitive works, including What the Buddha taught, which is his first most famous work. So Venerable Dhammananda Thero is also a full-time lecturer of history at the Department of History of the University of Kalaniya. He heads the department at the moment, and congratulations Thero on the recent appointment. And he also heads the Walpola Rahula Institute for Buddhist Studies in Sri Lanka. He's actively engaged in issues related to social justice and harmony that promotes an inclusive, plural society. I remember when I first heard about Thero, it was during 2012, where the Bodhibala Sena was quite vocal in the country, and that's when I first had a distant interaction with the Thero. And you will also be, I know during the recent Easter attacks, Thero probably was giving leadership to lot of harmonious dialogue among the communities. He personally visited some households as well as communities, and he is truly inspired by Buddha's teaching of Bahujana Hitaya for the betterment of all. Calling for one to work beyond religious, ethnic and social labels to actively uplift the society, especially supporting those who are vulnerable, marginalized and discriminated. Dr. Radhika Kumaraswamy, I think after she attended the book launch, puts this beautiful few lines together about Thero, which I thought we need to bring in to add some flavor. I quote, Venerable Dhammananda Thero has no strong view that he imposes on others, but he is a facilitator for frank exchange and dialogue, an enabler who makes you feel secure, cared for no matter who you are. When you're with him, you have a strong sense of compassion and belonging. So without further ado, Hamdurani, I invite you to take it.
Thank you very much for the very kind and introduction, and thank you Mahal and those who organized this program within, I think, 2-3 days time, and I'm so happy to meet all of you, and thank you for coming. It is so great to meet all of you here. Today's program, as Supipi introduced, that first part I will address the truth awakening, that the book and what comes from that book and what is relevance, relations with the today's discussion, and then the Metta meditation or loving kindness meditation, how it is we can use as a tool for healing. And so, and then we will go for practical session. We together will experience what the guided metta meditation, and after that we will have time together to share and share ideas and learn from each other. I like to put it that way, more, to listen to you and share ideas. This book, Truth Awakening, or Satyodaya, my mentor, Venerable Walpola Rahula, has written this 1930s. And originally he has written 7 papers, and then they combine and make a book in 1992, first publication. And in this book, not just as a book, I like to discuss it as an idea. What is the relevance to us? What comes in this book? When I work with Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka, with people there, what I see with the time, for many generations and after 2,500 years, we have come, and I mean, the Buddhism was a living religion among the people, and none of us could meet the Buddha and ask from him whether this is, anything to clarification. No, our parents, or, it is not that we have got that knowledge from generations. And when people live and when they face problems, most of the time they try to find healing from the religion. As an example, when I was with Venerable Walpola Rahula, we used to sit every afternoon together and spend at least 2 hours. That was the time that Venerable Rahula, taught me or certain ideas, how he implanted certain ideas in me. He never advised Dhammananda to do this or don't do this, but in those discussions, very rich discussions, that is the time I learned a lot. One day he said, when he was young, there was no something called Bodhi Puja. And there I disagree with him. I said, no, Bodhi Puja is something very, it is one of the religious work, religious thing that we all do. And I cannot believe that Bodhi Puja is a new practice. Then he said, no. When he was young, he has been born 1907. So, and when he was young, he said, we as a family went to the monastery, we offered flowers to the stupa and pay our respect. We went to the Bodhi tree, we did the same thing, and then to the image house and offered flower and we paid our respect. We never expect anything from the stupa or Bodhi tree or from the image house. We just paid our respect. That was the only thing that we did. And in return, we did not expect anything. And it took time for me to understand how this Bodhi Puja became a prominent religious practice in Sri Lanka. One well-known Buddhist monk who can sing well, with a very nice voice. He started this practice with those Sinhala words that run one part in Dalulana Bodhiya, nil one part in Kolalana Bodhiya. So, and this has become very popular. Many people came for that, and then the other monks also start doing the same thing. And I learned that during the armed conflict time, more and more people, those parents of the armed soldiers, they were the people who were always under the Bodhi tree offering things and expecting the protection for their children. That was a very difficult time for the parents of soldiers, and anytime something can happen, anytime they will get a message, a bad message about their children. So that was the time this became very popular among the people. So in Buddhism there is no all-powerful God to go and pray. And when they are very helpless, that was the time they went to the Bodhi tree and expect the protection for their children. And this gave me a strong message that 2,500 years of history, how many times people have faced wars, invasions, conflicts, and tsunami maybe, droughts, and all these things. And not only that, when I learned from my grandparents, I learned that life was very difficult. Even many women face lots of problems. I mean, dangerous situation without proper health care when they deliver children, and most of the time they die. And my mother's father, my mother is the daughter of my grandfather's third wife. That doesn't mean that he married many wives, but the first, second have died in the childbirth. So, and if that was the life of the people, uncertainty, agony, lots of loss, and then people expect the healing or protection from the religion. If we know this, if we can wake or aware of this journey, then we have to accept that if it is the religion that give healing to the people or solace, then there will be certain practices, certain pujas to help people in those situations. So what we do today in Sri Lanka, many pujas, many perahara and all these things, and people tend to believe that is Buddhism, and by doing those things they think they are very good Buddhist. And by saying that, I do not say not to do any, it is not the idea, but to wake up and to understand we have come a long way. And throughout the history, if that a story that Bodhi Puja, within a century time, if a new practice came into, among to the Buddhist, new practice came into practice, and then all we started believing that it is something Buddhist. And then 2,500 years, how many things may have added to this, and we, without knowing, believe that this is Buddhism. And even Buddhist monks and lay people, no one purposely created something to misguide people, but when they face certain situations, they introduce something to face such things. So this awaken that to see how it has happened, then that will help us to go beyond that. It is totally fine doing all these things, but not to think that is Buddhism and that's all. No, that is the main idea I want to share. Again, I want to tell, in these practices, Bodhi Puja or other practices, there are certain meaning, and perhaps, in fact, my mother also did Bodhi Puja when I know I was not well, or during 1987 to 1990 period, young monks, at that time as a mother who was living far away place, she cannot come to see me. Then what she did, she go to the Bodhi Puja, do Bodhi Puja, that brings her healing, and I'm sure that is good for her. And this, when someone passed away among Buddhist people, we have this funeral practice. We invite Buddhist monks to come and do last rites and rituals. There again, it is very more meaningful practice, that empty cup and a jar with full of water, and we do some religious offering and giving things. And after that, the monk guide the people. Now you all together did something meritorious. Now you can transfer that merits to the person who is deceased, the person you cannot help anymore. And then come together, hold the jar filled with water and pour to the empty cup until it overflows. I see this is a very good therapy. The person who has lost someone, who is with agony, pain, see something that heal the person. The water goes and you see the empty cup become full and overflow, and that is exactly a therapeutic work. And I don't know how these things came, but they are useful for the people who face such situations. But what I try to tell, to understand these things have come in certain time periods to help people. They are okay to do, but not to think that is Buddhism and that's all. That is the main idea. That is why this awakening is very much needed. What Venerable Rahula tries to do in these articles, throughout these articles, to guide people to wake up and to go to the Metta session. Metta. This is why Walpola Rahula Institute particularly promote Metta meditation in Sri Lanka. We understand the Sri Lankan society particularly, they have faced lots of violent history, maybe colonial period, that experience, and then after that, my calculation is every 7 years time we face violent, that is the history, from 1948 onwards. And there are so many mothers who have lost their children, and so many people displaced. And I'm sure this is a country you will see some people, many people, they have migrated here because of such situations. So that is one thing. People continuously, every 7 years time, they face such situation, and they are with wounds. But our country in Sri Lanka, we don't have a dialogue, discussion how to heal ourselves. There is no such discussion. We go on wounding, and after that we say, now okay, fine, let's go. And then after several years time, we will see the next round of round starts. And that is where we understand our whole society need healing. That is very much needed. Since we do not address that issue, we tend to make the next round of violence. And it is a well-known fact that wounded people are not healed. Those people tend to wound the other. That is it's a fact. when you go to Kilinochchi area, where the conflict most affected area in Sri Lanka, you will see domestic violence is very high. And those affected people, and they are with wounds, they do the same thing to most probably to the immediate people. And liquor shops. And once I went there after the conflict, and the army soldiers said that they closed down the liquor shop because the people cannot control themselves. They take liquor so much, and this is what, when the wounds are there, and if those wounds are not healed, they go for another round of wounding. And then what happened to those people, we know very well, everyone will agree with this situation in Sri Lanka after the conflict. There are people with so much of wounds, and their wounds have to be addressed and healed, whether it is northern part, eastern part, or the families of soldiers. Then what about 1987 to 90 incidents and those who lost their children? And then 1983 incident, and then 1971 and 1950s. And those people, there was no discussion to heal those people. And among those wounded people, there are two categories. One is the direct people who have got direct wounds after seeing violent things, after losing their loved ones. That is one category, and we all can agree with that, those who are with wounds. The second thing is intergenerationally transmitted wounds. Parents tell their stories to their children. They pass those wounds to their children. Not only that, what I learned from Kilinochchi and other area, those people who have faced violence, and after that, after they settle down, there are high tendency, as I did mention before, they easily get angry, and those children who are with such parents, they will be wounded. And then, if the parents are with wounds and they behave a particular way, we can understand it's because they have faced violence, they have lost many things. But in the next generation, those people will not understand why those children behave in a particular way, because they are not directly wounded, their wounds are intergenerationally transmitted wounds. That is where we think this healing is very much needed, to heal ourselves and to help others to heal. And that is why healing is very much needed. And we promote particular idea called social healing. There are no healers and wounded people. If you think that I am going to help you to heal yourself and identify myself as a healer, no, I am also with wounds. We all are with wounds, and what we are doing, helping each other to heal. The past 50 years in Sri Lanka, those people that even who have watched the TV and news and seen certain violent things, they are with wounds. They are not normal. So that is why the whole society is wounded. We cannot say these people are with wounds and these people are not. No, the whole society is with wounds. And I think particularly Buddhist monks are with lots of wounds. Their history, the way the history is taught, the Mahavamsa version, there it's always emphasized your task is to protect. Protect from whom? Then there is a threat. So always the protect, that is the role. And so easily those people will make wounds to the other if those wounds are not cured. So this is the main idea. That is why we promote Metta as a tool to address this. This is not only something theoretical, this is what personally I learned through my own life. If I may share my experience, as part of this conflict, I lost my elder brother. That was not an easy task to cope up with that pain. He was the hero in my life. And, sometimes I had anger towards whoever who did that. And I have learned metta meditation, but it is not the way now I understand it. It was just, may he or she be well, may I be, something, in Sinhala we say, dukim pelena sat dukim midetva, biyem pelena sat biyem midetva. So, without any feeling, we just recite those things. But once, one day, I practiced this metta meditation. There, I purposely, when I practiced the fourth level of meditation, that is, may I be happy about myself, and then do the caring, loving people, and then third level, indifferent people, and the fourth level, conflicting people. That level, in the fourth level, that day, I thought, why not I take this to the what hurts me, there I developed my loving kindness. There I thought, whoever who happened to take a gun against my brother, may he or she be well, may he or she be happy. If that person is not living anymore, then may that person also find the peace as the way my elder brother find the peace. That day I felt I relieved from the pain I had. Then I got the chance to go to the area where those people, in particular, first time I met those people, members of the cadres of the organization. That day I could interact with them. When I developed loving kindness, whoever who happened to take a gun against my brother, there I didn't have a face. I was just thinking of someone, whoever. But when I went to particular and meet those people, there I saw, now they have a face. When I listened to their stories, that changed the whole scenario, and I felt they are also human beings as my brother, and they are also with lots of wounds. And that day I identified there is nothing called my healing unless I do something to heal those who I identify as my other. And then onward there was a journey. Every Avrudu time I used to go to somewhere northern or eastern part to meet children and do something. Not to tell others, but it is just traveling by bus, go somewhere and do something. That really healed me. So this is why we think that metta is that make the necessary conditions, and that helps us to make our mind, prepare our mind, and then go for action. And this is not only for this, what I discussed, it is directly connected with the conflict, the armed conflict and other conflicts in the country. But this is not only the conflict, but with the other communities, but our own conflicts, and conflicts in our families, and then our relationships. To develop a better relationship, I think this metta and that healing helps a lot. And that is why we promote metta meditation as a healing tool. And so today we will practice, we will try to go for metta meditation, to experience that. And this will be a guided meditation. And so I know here, as the Supipi introduced, the Walpola Rahula Institute, the way we welcome people, we do not expect Buddhist, but we expect human people, and we welcome everyone there. And we are very happy to share every metta session. I mean, particularly Poya Day, Full Moon Day metta session, we find at least several Christian people with us, and at least few Islam. And then not only among the participants, sometimes among our facilitators we have Tamil people. So already we have created a space. Everyone can come together, as what Radhika has written. It is a safe space. I mean, people feel that they come and they join. So here also, I know you will be from different faith or religious traditions. There will be people who do not particularly follow any religion. You are most welcome to experience this and try to experience. I say that I'm sure people who are here, you try to practice these things, but as you know, and if I share with you honestly, until the day I myself started practicing metta in a particular way, until then I had not practiced it properly. It was just something like ritual. I had done it, but I didn't know the meaning. I didn't know how it connect with my own life and experience. So this will be a good time, to practice it and experience it. And if I am to introduce what is metta, there is particular sutra called Karaniya Metta Sutta. There Buddha explains what is metta, and the way he has put it is that the emotion that a mother develops towards her only child when that child is going to face some risk, and then the feeling that mother has, that risk in her own life, the way she intervened to protect the child, that feeling is metta. That is how it has been defined. It is not that metta is this, is it, but that is the emotion. So what we do in metta meditation, our goal is to reach, that is the ideal, that is the, everyone tries to develop that, develop that feeling, that emotion within us, and then to spread that to all the other living beings, to other levels. So this is what we do in metta meditation. And so this is the very brief introduction, and if we will go for metta meditation maybe 30 to 40 minutes time, then we will have the sharing session. So maybe to go to the practical session, I'm sure you all are comfortable with sitting, and let's get ready for that. There are several ways of, there are several methods of meditation. I'm sure we all are familiar with those. Anapanasati or breathing meditation, there what we do is living in the present moment, right? That breathing is the what we do without, the present moment, what we do is breathing. So breathing meditation help us to be in the present moment, and then to live with awareness. So be aware all the time. That is Satipatthana Bhavana. Metta Bhavana, the practice of Metta Bhavana is a phrase that in the Pali language, Metta means love, like a mother loves her child, as I mentioned before. It means caring, compassion, friendliness, or kindness. Hence, loving kindness for short. It is an emotion, something we can feel in our heart. So the bhavana means development or cultivation. So metta bhavana means cultivating loving kindness. So it is cultivating loving kindness within us. So to go to the practical session, let's sit comfortably and stretch your body, and perhaps it will help you to close your eyes to concentrate. Have 3 deep breathing and relax your body. Here, even for a few moments, we give up all thoughts of ill will, all thoughts of harmfulness. We wish everyone, starting with ourselves, those dear to us, those neutral to us, and even those disagreeable to us, to be well and happy. This will create the necessary conditions to heal our hearts and allow our minds to respond calmly and compassionately in all situations, without giving into anger, which can escalate to hate and violence. First, we develop metta towards ourselves, caring our body and our mind. We start by becoming aware of ourselves and focusing on feelings of peace, calm, and tranquility. Why we develop loving kindness to ourselves first? Because to heal ourselves first. Unless we tend to wound others if we do not address our wounds. So, no matter what, we can and we must love and care for ourselves. Repeating, may I be well, may I be happy, and the way to be well and happy is by letting go all thoughts of ill will towards anyone and all thoughts of harmfulness. So, may I be free from ill will. May I be free from thoughts of harmfulness. Then we think of a person dear to us, dear to you. Bring that person to your mind as vividly as you can and think of that person's good qualities. Feel your connection with this dear person and your liking for that person. Let's develop our loving kindness to that person. Repeating, may she or he be well. May she or he be happy. May that person be free from ill will. May that person be free from thoughts of harmfulness. The same manner, think of all the people who are dear to you. Try to think from your childhood. You can think of the faces of the children who were with you in the kindergarten. Maybe you haven't seen them for many years now. Wherever they live today, how good if they are happy. Think of the teachers who taught to you. from kindergarten to whole education, one by one. And then all the friends you met in school, all the friendly people you met so far in this journey. Feel your connection with those dear persons and your liking for them, and encourage these to grow by repeating, may they be well, may they be happy, may they be free from ill will, may they be free from thoughts of harmfulness. Then think of someone you neither like or dislike, a person neutral to you. This may be someone you do not know well, but see around. You may think, why should I develop loving kindness to someone, neither a friend or enemy? Just think of the lunch you had today. Just think how many people are connected, how many people have contributed for you to have that meal today. From the farmers and their family members and so many other people. And if that chain is interrupted, we will not have our meal today. It is not that we develop loving kindness to those people because we have our meal. That is not the idea. To see the interconnectedness, how much we are interconnected. So, if everyone in this society is happy, everyone in this society is healed, that helps to have a happy life to everyone. So, include them into your thoughts and feelings of metta. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be free from ill will. May they be free from thoughts of harmfulness. Then think of someone you dislike, a disagreeable person, someone you are having difficulty with. It will be not easy as the way we develop loving kindness to oneself or dear person. Here it is good to think how we are going to look at that person who does harmful things or who have done something wrong to you. I'm sure sometimes you will think, I cannot develop loving kindness to someone who has done something wrong to me. Then I suggest, if that person is 50 years old, you can go back 48 years maybe. If you go back to 40 years, then there is a child before you who is 2 years old. If I ask from you whether you cannot develop loving kindness to that child, you will say, I don't have any problem with that child. I can develop loving kindness to that innocent child. We all know no one is born to do something harmful to the society. No dangerous people are born. Almost all the children are the same. They are innocent. Then how an innocent child becomes someone does harmful things to the society. Here you can remember one story comes in Buddhist texts, the Angulimala story. Angulimala's childhood. He was a very innocent person. He was very loyal to his teacher. When he grows, the atmosphere, the background, the people who he associated with, and with their misguidance, gradually this innocent boy became a serial killer. And this story is a very good example for us to see how an innocent child becomes someone who does harmful things. If you think of someone who has done something wrong to you or to the society in general, then with that story, Angulimala's story, from that point you can think how an innocent child becomes someone dangerous. Most probably, if a child do not get proper love and care from the family, if the parents are with wounds as we discussed before, most probably these children will be neglected. They will not get the proper care and protection and love. And maybe because of the poverty, when they go to school, if other children have good clothes, shoes and books, and if this child didn't have that, gradually this innocent person will start developing jealous in his mind. So we can go on and on. Discrimination, humiliation, and all these things in the childhood wounds the mind of the innocent child, and gradually he becomes someone harmful to the society. If we can see this process, then we will not have hard feelings towards the person who does harmful thing to the society or particular to yourself. If we can see in that manner, cause and effect, how a person develops into a good person or a harmful person, then we can develop loving kindness to that person with the kind heart. That if that person got proper care from the family, love from the family, and the teachers and the friends, they all cared him without discrimination, then we would have met someone very different. And with that understanding, we will develop loving kindness to the disagreeable person. Bring the disagreeable person into your mind, and with the deep understanding how those factors affect to develop a harmful person, let's develop loving kindness to that person. Trying not to get caught up in any feeling of anger. Think of them positively and send your metta to them as well. May they be well. May they be happy. May I have not feelings of ill will towards them. May they be free from ill will. May I have no thoughts of harmfulness towards them. May they be free from thoughts of harmfulness. In the final stage, first of all, you think of all the four people together. Yourself, the friend, the neutral person, and the disagreeable person. May all be well. May all be happy. May I have not feeling of ill will towards anyone. May all be free from ill will. May I have no thoughts of harmfulness towards anyone. May all be free from thoughts of harmfulness. Let us extend our thoughts and feelings further to everyone around us, to everyone in this neighborhood, to everyone in this country, and so on, throughout the world, with a special consideration to children who have lost their parents, parents who have lost their children, wives who have lost their husbands, husbands who have lost their wives, those who have lost their partners, all those who are suffering due to the loss of their loved ones. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be free from ill will. May all be free from thoughts of harmfulness. And let the mind settle in this feeling of loving kindness, the universal friendliness. Let's together silently develop this loving kindness from oneself to the whole universe. We are gradually reaching to the end of this Metta session. Dukkhapatta ca niddukkha, bhayapatta ca nibbhaya, sokapatta ca nissoka, hontu sabbe pipaninu. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-stuck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may beings find relief. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that very peaceful meditation session, Thero. So he would like to ask you whether you want to now have a cup of tea. Sorry.
Are we going to be asking any questions?
Yes, so he wants to know whether you want to have a cup of tea, come sit and then go to the reflection session, or do you want to continue? Yeah. So we'll continue is what you suggestion. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah. So we would like to now open the floor for a time for reflection more and thoughts. So if you have anything to share with the group or to ask any questions which we all as a group would answer or Thero could answer.
We have a clarification on something. I don't know whether you need a microphone or not, but is it correct that people need the view that a God or some powerful person will help them in need, and since Buddhism does not provide that support, that people have borrowed from the pantheon of Hindu gods and brought them into what is really not Buddhism, but a practice in this country? Or does the Buddha say that you can get assistance from God if you are in some difficulty?
No, it is ourselves, the person, not any outside force that can help us, but it is up to us. We are the people who have to find the answer. And when it comes to the I mean, to, I think we need lots of guidance and be with the people to give that energy that you are the energy, you can do that help is very much needed. As I mentioned in the earlier experience, during the conflict time, those parents whose children were in the military and police, they were with fear, and even maybe they know that the powerful thing cannot save them, but still they go after that to find support. So in Buddhism there is no such power that can help someone. It is the teaching, the Dhamma, that is the Guru, that is it is you who have to practice, and so there is no such, pantheon of divine beings, so there is nothing, but it is the person we have to. Yeah.
Taking from Sure's question, did the Buddha say to give merit to gods, to give merit to God, or just a question leading from the discussion about gods and Buddhism. Is there a concept that that gods do exist and that you can convey merit to them because they are unable to gather it themselves, or is that just again another story? Is there a presence of gods and therefore we may not be, they may not be able to help us, but we need to help them?
The first thing is, as I know in the earlier question, that there is no such powerful power there to help people, or this we who have to face our life and find our destiny. And the idea of divine being is there in sutras. We don't know the Buddhist texts that we read that also historically came down, and the third council, they were put into a particular way, and then it was written later on. We don't know exactly that. We know we can find out the essence of Buddhism, that the Hetupalavado, Paticcasamuppada, and the Four Noble Truth and Eightfold Path. We don't see any divine being in that path. It is we who have to practice, and that is very clear. But there are the idea of divine being in the sutras. Sometimes they come and worship the Buddha, or the way those divine beings are put in the sutras they are just they are not powerful people who can come and help or do something. They are depicted in a way that they enjoy particular life because they have done something good. Out of that merit, they enjoy that life. Once it is over, they come down or go somewhere, something like that. So the idea of divine being is not powerful things that they can help others, and instead they live with our support. That is how it has put into the. We don't know whether there are such, but the way it has, it is totally different from the normal way of looking at the divine beings or gods. They are just other beings. They live with the support of, or they, as a result of doing good deeds. And so the path to liberation, the Eightfold Path, or the other teachings, we don't meet any divine being. So it is different. And there are, as you say, that in sutras, mention of divine beings, and but they are depicted in a way that they enjoy that life with the help of the results of good deeds or with the help of others.
Deva, Naka, Maitiko. What exactly are those three concepts?
As I mentioned, I think it is very good that we had the earlier discussion that this has been living religion for 2,500 years. So there are so many things has come into the belief system, and Buddhism belongs to the Indian that then we don't know how to separate, and we don't know when those things has come into Deva Nag, that the belief is there that Mahiddhika means powerful, Mahiddhi, those who have Mahiddhi or power, and Deva and Naga, and the idea of other beings are there, and we know when you go into the core teachings of Buddhism, we have nothing to do with those. That is what I can make clear. We know there is nothing to do with those beings. There are mentions of other beings, and in different names, but main thing is what I can I don't know whether such beings are there or not, but I know very well there is nothing to do with those beings to develop, to progress in our path.
සනස සිංහලෙන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න අවසරයි. සනස දැන් අනුමෝදාමි, I hope everyone can understand, so I'll speak in Sinhala. සනස අනුමෝදාමි කියන වචනේ මම තේරුම් අරන් තියෙන්නේ to rejoice together with. කියන අපිට සතර අපායයි 6 කියලා අපි ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා. ඉතින් අපි කරන පිනක් ඒගොල්ලන් එක්ක රිජොයිස් කරනවා, ඒගොල්ලන් එක්ක බෙදා ගන්නවා කියන එකක් තමයි මම තේරුම් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ. ඒක වැරදිද සයන්ස්? ඒක එහෙම හිතන එක හරිද සයන්ස්? අනුමෝදාමි කියන වචනය ගැනයි.
Exactly, it is the word anuva. සතුට වෙනවා, යමක් දැකලා ඒක සන්තෝෂ වෙනවා, යත් එක්ක බෙදා ගන්නවා සතුට, අනුමෝදනා. So any good thing we can share, and anumodana, it is very closer to the mudita, right? Metta, karuna, mudita. Mudita is the sympathetic joy, that is how it is translated. To be happy the way the other person feel that good, when you do something good, and when something good happen to someone, when you hear it, you feel the same happiness. That is anumodana. And then it has the other side also. If someone is facing agony or sad something, then have the same feeling, the way that it is, I think it is in English, empathy. So it is anumodana, you can say, and I think I see several people use that term here also. I saw when appreciate, they say anumodami, and I share the happiness. It is, yes, what you say, it is the meaning. Yeah.
Swamin Mahansa, you also practiced Metta meditation today, suggesting us to extend our loving kindness to thinking of somebody we like, then someone who is neutral, and then think of somebody who we may not like. Now, I have been practicing Metta meditation for some time, but since lately I have been thinking it is someone being judgmental, and it could be an illusion. How do we know? Everything arises, changes and disappears. That is what we have learned in Buddhism. And should we be getting stuck into who is dear to us, we should be able to dear to everybody. And I thought it is a good, is this what, is it coming from the Buddha's days, or is it just to help people to develop their minds? This is something that has come to my mind. Should we discriminate? Or if thoughts come to us that, somebody did something to hurt us, then we acknowledge it and then try to extend loving kindness, thinking it happened due to whatever reason, but develop loving kindness towards everybody without thinking this is my dear people, these are neutral, and these are people who are different.
This is a journey, this is a practice, and I think the first levels are easy for us to develop loving kindness, right? To dear person, to my mother, may she be well, may she be happy. I think everyone can do that. And then the next level, so when we go to next level, it is not easy, right? So this is a gradual process. And in the meditation, sometimes the instructor suggests if you cannot develop the loving kindness to the fourth level, come to the third level. Okay, so be there and until you feel comfortable to go to the fourth level. So this is to help people to get rid of the pain or wounds that person has, right? And this is to prepare your mind, heal your mind. This is not action that you go and do, but deal with yourself. So, and karuna, there you go and do something, that is action. And so other levels, but this is to deal with you, how to make yourself, ready for, go for action. So, and Karaniya Metta Sutta, there the story, background story is that the monks who went to do meditation, they were disturbed by other beings, and they come and complain to the Buddha. And there Buddha never says go and he never call those beings to come and ask why, and no, the Buddha instruct the monks to think of all those living beings, ditta, vayeva, aditta, those who can, visible or invisible, So, it is something to do with yourself, the way of thinking, and after that, you are maybe, if we think of someone disagreeable, and maybe someone at your office, maybe. Okay, so tomorrow you have to meet that person. Okay, so if you do metta meditation and be prepared to when you develop loving kindness. Today we did not go that far, but you can think that disagreeable person, that person also feel the same feelings I have. Okay, the fear and loneliness and all these things. And that person also may have someone, the wife or husband waiting, and children. And how good if this person is cured, that the members of the family will be so happy, and how good it is. So when you develop those ideas, the hard feeling that you have, that will, relax. And then after that, when you meet that person tomorrow, you can smile, perhaps. So it is a healing process. That is how I understand. And the other thing is, Buddha, the way the Buddha intervened and the way that I understand, we also have to intervene. We cannot be away, and it is not the idea. And why, as a monk, why I engage when the violent thing happened in Kandy, I went there to meet people. When that happened in Nigambo, went there, and not to tell others I did this, but I felt I have to go there. And to do that, I mean, if everyone in the community is doing the same thing, I think we can heal each other, help each other. After that, you will not have anger. I think that is how I see this. It is a healing tool that make you, that you make you prepare to empathize. So that is how I see to. When we go to the other levels, yes, what you said, and one day someone asked me that whether he or she should go be a vegetarian because loving kindness and all. I said it is the journey. It is up to you. When you feel that, please go ahead. It is not that prescribing, since you are doing this, you should not do this. It is not. It's a journey. And in that journey, you will feel that, now anymore, I don't want this to practice, and I have gone beyond that. So that's how I see.
Why is it that people are advised to avoid Natya, Gita, Vagita, Visuka, Dasta, Namala?
I don't know whether that there is one singer come to the Buddha and he sing the song with playing with the veena violin, and it is in a way I don't know whether the word is correct because I'm not English is not my it is very erotic song, and playing veena he sing the song. And Buddha never said, no, stop it. No, he was listening and then he gave a very good review that he appreciated the singing and the song. And from that, I don't see that Buddha was against art or music or anything. That I think he is a very cultured person who could, see the, and we don't know that it comes when you go for particular, the monks are supposed not to, that is where we see. And මට සිංහලෙන් එක වඩා ලේසි කියන්න ඒවායේ නැටුම් ගැයුම් වල මේ දැන් කාමෝත්සව ගැන ඒ කාලේ තියෙනවා. එතකොට ගිරක්ක සමාජ්‍ය වගේ. එතකොට ඒ මොන මට්ටමේද කියලා මම කියන්න දන්නේ නැහැ. අනික් කාරණේ තමයි දැන් කිසියම් දවස් සිල් සමාදන් වෙනකොට ඒක ඇතුලේ අපි දවසක් විතර අනික් දේවල් වලින් වෙන් වුණු ජීවිතයක ඒක ට්‍රේනින් එකක් තමයි. ඒක ඇතුලේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් සමහර දේවලින් වෙන් වෙලා සිටීම. But it doesn't mean that Buddhism is against art or no, it is not the idea. I mean, at least that is how I understand.
I am trying to find out what is common. Mala, Gandha, Vilekana, decoration, perfumes, and Visuka Darshana, absurd vision. ඒ වගේ තියෙන දේවල් වල තියෙන සාමාන්‍යත්වය.
This is nothing to do, I mean, when you be away from, why you use more and more perfume and all these things, that is to maybe to impress someone and and Buddhism suggests to go to a simple life and simplicity. And from that point of view, I see the mala, gandha and all these things are not part of simple life, or in Christian tradition we say poverty, right? That and Buddhist tradition we say alpechata. Alpecha means minimalism. That is. So I think from that point of view, yeah.
Just to warm up the discussion about Sri Lanka. In your opinion, I personally know what you are doing. I think most people you also know. But if you look at collectively the Buddhist institution and the members of that institution, what they have been doing, including the Mahanayaka Gaudiya chapters who basically advocated violence recently, has Sri Lanka got hope that Buddhism is going to address some of these issues that we all know are going on in Sri Lanka?
I see Buddhism here more than in Sri Lanka, and that is a very short answer. Those monks I see here, nuns, I went to Perth and where the bhikkhunis live, and I saw the happiness that there were 4 Sri Lankan bhikkhunis there. I don't see the bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka have that they are like so happy, So I see Buddhism here more than there. As I mentioned in the introduction part, monks are also with lots of wounds in Sri Lanka, and those who have become monks are not those who have decided to become monks because they have understood that it is a great message, and this life that I am leading is, I can, this is not what I expect. I should go and find the answer or find the happiness there. It is not. Children have become monks, and children cannot understand what Buddhism or what life. Children cannot think of giving up anything which they do not possess, right? How to give up something if you do not possess anything. So the whole track there, I think we are out of the track. And then culturally we need monks to do religious, dana and, for that. And perhaps monks things, or the people I know in Bhattaramula, Kusalananda Hamaduru, he come and tell me, people come and tell that, now you need, Padi Hamaduru කෙනෙක් ඕන නේද දැන් ඔබ වහන්සේ නැති කාලයක කවුද මේවා කරන්නේ. So it is nothing to do with Buddhism but to continue the institution. So unless we discuss these things openly, unless we decide no, this won't help, and I said that people are with wounds, and I think if children do not get their childhood life to play, run here and there, and enjoy the life a child should enjoy, and then I think the child is with wounds. So perhaps I don't know how this will be accepted, my idea. Even Mahanayaka Hamudro is a wounded person because he is not someone. And there are 3 steps: Asada, Adinava, Nissarana. Right? First you see the life, enjoy the life, Asada, and second step is Adinava. There you see this is not something there should be something beyond this. And then after the second step, then the Nissarana. That is to, give up. That's the third step. Now what we have in Sri Lanka is from childhood we jump into the third step and know first and second steps. So this is, I think, we are in our own අපි මහදාගත්ත හිර කූඩුවක. ඒක තමයි මම දකින්නේ.
So, in a sense, did Buddha also give the wrong message by taking his son and making him a monk when he was very small? I know it's old stuff, historical things, but by doing that, he also deprived his young son of learning. I'm asking this in the context of ordinating young children as Buddhist monks, and then someone is, he could have done it to his own son, what's wrong? I can do it to my son.
Well, when we, there's a history part, right? And this is oral tradition and certain stories are there. And some stories we can't believe that at the birth Siddhartha walked, something like that. There are such stories also there. So, what I think, now we are in a different society, we have the understanding how the brain of the child develop, what age you should teach them what, right? We have that understanding now. And in ancient societies, the age of marriage getting, that was very, all the societies, I think that age was very low. And as I learned from my mother, my grandmother has got married when she was 14 years old. And that was normal in such societies. But now we all say, no, don't do that because they are children. And because we have that understanding, now we know. I think that is how we should approach to this issue. Whether that is mentioned in the text or whether it says that Buddha himself did that, that's okay, that belongs to that society. We are living in a different society. Can we agree? Can we think a child can be a monk and then he can understand what the message? And not only that, don't you think that it is violence? Violence against the child. You make someone and you worship and offer things and, through very, very subtle way, we are making that person, you do not play, you do not do this, you do not do, you have to be like this because, and I think very subtle way we are practicing violence. And if we can tell, no, you are a child, okay, go and play. I think that is the kindness, that is metta and all the kindness that we are, right? So, yeah.
I have to underline what Raj said, that if a gentleman wearing a yellow robe says, Buddha Gamata Nigraha Karaniki Ombataranto, it can't be fun.
Signs of the times.
So on the same subject, I'd like to understand who is a Buddhist in your view. Is it the people who are born to Buddhist parents, or is it people who tell them 5 precepts every day, or are there others like who can be Christian, Muslim, or by birth? Are they also can they be considered Buddhist? In your view, who is a Buddhist and what is a Buddhist?
Well, yes, I think in Satyodaya this question is very clearly answered. And these labels and these robes has nothing to do with that, will not make someone Buddhist or non-Buddhist, but it is the way of thinking and the way that, who practice. So, and not only that, and thank you, Mr. Niranjan, we know if someone in Sri Lankan context, I'm sharing, if someone is Buddhist, that he is Sinhalese, right? And so much it is connected with Buddha was, and in fact Buddha never made Buddhist. He was talking to the people and who were practicing or other faiths, and he was just talking with them. And yesterday Ajahn Sujato mentioned that the Buddha, when you see sutras, interfaith dialogue, you can see in most of the sutras, and he was dialoguing with the other faith people. So this is, who are Buddhists? Those who see, the way they think, who change the way they think and the practice, and nothing else. No gender, there's nothing. And yeah.
One day, going back to that children becoming monks at the early age, but there are some children, they decide to become monks at a very early age without any prompting. But I was listening to this, your interview with Chatura. I think you also became a monk at a fairly early age.
Yes, when I was 13.
13 years. So, nothing should. I have seen people from maybe 7, 8 years old, they always become monk. So is it okay to stop them? Or?
No, this whole discussion doesn't make something you should not do or it is not, but to open up. Let's be open, and then we can think of how to go ahead, right? Then one is, I suggested, and in one place that Child Protection Bureau is there, and if we are working with children, there should be kind of authority somewhere, a protection for the children. Do we have that? And if we discuss these things, we can go to a less violent, less violent ways, and to agree that they are children, they can play, and they one day can go back to their, the whole community accept the children, okay, come back. So something like that. Not to be rigid, and then that is what I suggest. And anyway, the way I think, if a child, wants to become a monk, there should be a very open way. Okay, go for 3 months and you can come back. And with the protection of some protection they can be, and then they come back. And when they grow and they can think again, if you think seriously, okay, you can go. This kind of openness, this kind of less rigid system that we need. I tell this because if the present what we have in Sri Lanka, the children when they grow, they will hate the society that made them. That I see as a university teacher. I see young monks. They are in the forefront of all the struggle. They are the people who clash with the police first. And I don't see any kindness or calmness in their faces. They are with anger. I think that is why all these things are related with healing. Yes. Oh, again, එකෙන් කියවෙන්නේ මහල්ලයින් ඔක්කොම 4 කේන්දරේ 15යි.
What I was going to say was, like you said, this is a journey. So we are all in different places. Like in a class with 40 children, the first one becomes the last. So we learn the same thing from the same teacher. So our absorption capacity and where we are in life is different. So someone might be ready at the age of 6, take the sasana. Someone might not be. So it doesn't mean that. But like you said, it's good to have a process. But the process is but we sitting here do not represent the majority Sri Lankans. But we are very poor in Sri Lanka. So whether we can have the capacity to have this kind of process, it's another question. We are a poor country. Ministry English kata karanne hai. Api hari minority katiyak metana. So for us to be critical of, I live here. Like I'm thinking it's quite harsh for us to judge those people who are in a certain position by sitting here in the comfort of Sydney homes.
Yes, but the thing is, unless we discuss these things with the people, make them aware, they will never open their eyes, right? So when we go for that discussion, it is always keeping our mind that metta that we develop, we do not wound those people, even those who, they are with fear, the Lakuhamdus are with fear of who will be in the temple. So
look down upon them,
but
we shouldn't be looking down upon
no, never. And with that loving kindness and healing approach, and without making someone guilty, without accusing, and keeping the space for that person to change, and that is how this discussion should start. Making someone guilty, I think it won't make any change, won't bring any change, and to understand their position, right? That is very much needed. I'm sure if you watch the talk with Chatura or any other program, I talk these subjects without wounding. Without wounding, and we have to protect children, and the best place for children is under their parents. They are the people who can give best protection, and if someone else takes the responsibility, there should be a mechanism, for the protection of the child. Yes, sir.
So on the Vinaya, doesn't it stipulate how to treat old monks, sick monks and child monks? How to treat old monks and young child monks as well? Doesn't the Vinaya say that you have to do it this way?
Well, as far as my knowledge, there are no particular teaching Vinaya rules for children or how to deal with. I haven't come across.
So, what is your view on? I met this young monk at the Kaliput temple when he was visiting Sydney. He said he could recite Pali stanzas when he was 7 years old. And now he's 10. And he can read and remember the Tripitaka Lectratranit. If you ask a question, he goes straight to the page number and explains. Anywhere in Tripitaka. So, does he have some kind of calling from the previous birth? There are so many monks like that, aren't there? So, they become monks when they were very young. But they did it because they like it and that's what they wanted. They walked out of their life.
Yeah. What I can tell that they are very, they have the, how to say, ගොඩක් ශක්තිමත් ගොඩක් ලොකු හැකියාවක් තියෙන කෙනෙක් කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. But කියන්නේ පුද්ගලිකව මට කියන්න බෑ එහෙමයි කියලා. මම කියන්නේ මම දන්නේ. There are children who recite the Quran. Right? Then how we are going to interpret that? I mean, we don't know. Only thing we can tell, they are so, brilliant. They are so talented. They can do that. We don't know how. Right? So, for me, I cannot say this is because of that. Because if I say that I'm doing something I don't know, and I just presume. And someone from Islam tradition, when the child recite the Quran when they are very young, they will interpret it because the God's grace or something, and we both are doing something we don't know, right? So, no.
Quickly come to me a very positive story for a child monk. In our center there, the priest there, there were few monks, young little monks, and I asked him why he is why they are there. He said, "No, I didn't do it. None. They were orphaned, found in some northern or eastern village. It's about 5 of them." He said, "We brought them here, and because otherwise these children would have died. No one knows what will happen." And he said, we give them education. After some time, if they wish to, they can get to the ley lines if they wish to. So I asked him, what should I bring? What kind of things should I bring? He said, bring some games, a carrom board, some other things. He said, they are children. So that's what they should be given, not one of the So that's a very positive story about young monks and coming from this place there. So again, convention in a way, like what you said, I think there should be more of that kind of thing, recognizing that they are children, and there's a reason why they will be monks. So that's a good story on that particular topic.
Thank you so much for everyone who actually contributed to that discussion. I think in summary, as I was observing all the discussion, I think what I gathered is the truth awakening, within quote, truth, is clearly telling us there's nothing as universal truth. It is about awakening our mind and looking at the teachings of Buddha. With that note, I would actually like to thank Venerable Dhammananda Thero for taking time during this official visit of his to spend time with us and to involve in the discussion and conduct the Metta session today. Thank you so much, Thero. And also, probably, I hope you won't, you don't mind me saying this, his Sydney family, Indira and Raj, who have taken all the burden to look after him and take him around. Thank you so much for bringing him and looking after him during his stay. We all really appreciate what you do. And I also extend a thank you to Uncle Niranjan and Auntie Mahal, who actually found this place within a very short time frame. When I was coming around 2 o'clock today, I've never seen Uncle Nira doing this, but he was mopping the floor here. So he cleaned the entire place, Auntie was running around bringing stuff. So thank you so much to both of you and to Shali for all the help arranging the session this afternoon. And to each and every one of you for bringing yourselves and participating in this discussion. And you can continue the discussion, I'm sure, over a cup of tea. Thank you.